Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of our commandertax podcast, in which we talk about Magic the Gathering news, updates to us in the channel, and I guess just life.
Yeah.
So the big grand topic for tonight, which we've all been waiting on, and the set is almost completely spoiled, is Kaldheim. Kaldheim has been on our minds, on all of your minds, for quite a while, and it's a pretty fantastic set. It's exciting, and they literally put everything you could kind of want, in this set. Like everyone that people have been asking for, and it's pretty cool. The set, now we know what it's going to be about. There's an overview. We got tribes on it. We've got gods. We have snow permanents. We have runes. We have two new mechanics, Foretell and Boast, in which we already talked about Foretell, and we will talk about Boast. And just tons of snowlands, like holy cow.
Snowlands and permanents.
Yeah. So it's exciting, and what's not in those categories, there's a ton more else out there. So those are some of just the bigger categories of what this set entails. To talk more about like some lore behind this set, it's interesting. So like it seems like the gods are kind of like this dormant essence that are within each and one of us. So the first chapter of the lore was released, and it was basically a group of people are tracking down and trying to hunt Vorinclex, and what they're hunting a monster which was said to be Vorinclex, and Kaya was one of them, and Kaya was pretty close to killing Vorinclex, which is kind of weird because she kills things with souls, and Vorinclex doesn't have a soul. But then all of a sudden, awakened out of a nobody is the one of the gods, and he tells her to stop. And then when he talks to her, Vorinclex flees. So it's interesting. So we know that the gods are in people, like they're kind of just
kind of exist within the people.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. But I guess should we highlight what we're talking all about?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
All the lore is over my head. I guess that's the one thing that I don't really keep up on Magic is the lore. I know a little bit of the lore, but Cory's the expert when it comes to that. So
it's cool.
All right, I'll talk about the snow dual lands that just got spoiled. And when I looking at the previous episodes, I think we might have highlighted them a little bit. But these lands are really interesting. Like before most of the dual lands, besides like shock lands and that stuff, even like the dual lands that came out like in Dominaria, like the Sulphur Falls, their land type was land. But in the set that's coming out in Kaldheim, it's Snowland and Mountain Forest. So if you have a card that says search your library for mountain or a forest card, you can tutor these up. So they're very tutorable cards, I guess is what the phrase could be for that.
Yeah.
So and they're making both the color sets, the allies and the enemies.
Yeah. That's
so
huge to do them both in a set.
And there's cards coming out in the set that you could search for snow permanent, which you can fetch those with and stuff like that. So these lands are going to be very versatile in the upcoming standard set. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that they're bringing the snow mechanic more up front, because before it was kind of just a mechanic that it was cool. It was in a set previously, but in Cold Snap set, but we didn't really have legendaries that utilize snow mechanics, and now that we're getting basics that are snow permanents, as well as, like Quinn said, dual lands like that are snow permanents, that's huge. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Cory, you want to talk about the Boast mechanic a little bit?
Yeah, so we got two new mechanics in the set. We got Foretell and now Boast. So Boast is a really cool mechanic that we just got introduced, and so Boast kind of feeds we were just talking about that, kind of like on bolstering, where you have to attack in order for it to happen. So in bolstering, you attack and you give your smallest creature a +1/+1 counter, and so Boast is similar to that, because when Boast only works is you can only activate this ability only if a creature attacked this turn, if this creature attacked this turn, and only once each turn. So like an example is the card Hagi Mob. So it's a common 5/4 for 5, and you pay 2, 1 colorless and 1 red, and hanging mob deals 1 damage to any target. So if you didn't have that, catch to where it has to attack, you could completely overload that card, and if you had the mana, just destroy everything on the battlefield. So by saying you only can attack or use it once per turn and for it to attack, that's its catch. But it's a unique, it's a pretty cool mechanic.
Do you think it's going to be I don't know, prevalent in the upcoming standard set?
I feel like in standard it might. We have some cool stuff out there, especially landfall is probably one of the biggest mechanics out there in standard. It'll be interesting. I think it could. It's got potential. I think Foretell's got potential too, because Foretell's similar to Morph. But I think it is limited. I think that it's got power, but it's limited. I don't think it'll see that much play outside of standard.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it could see some play in standard.
Oh, I guess another question for you is which mechanic do you think is going to be easiest to build around, Foretell or Boast?
Ooh, that's a good question. Boast would be for the players that are trying to do a lot of attacking and win by combat damage.
So like aggro formats.
Yeah. So I think Boast could see more play than Foretell in standard per se, is because a lot of standard right now, you've got mono white aggro and mono red aggro, which are doing really well, and stuff like those. Those are pretty good. But then I could see Boast being more prevalent than Foretell, just because it hones in on that aggro aspect, and you have to attack with a whole bunch of creatures and stuff. Foretell is cool, but it seems like it's a little bit more for the down game or the longer game. Some more for the late game, like, oh, you don't want to cast this now, so you pay its Foretell, or you pay the 2 and then cast its Foretell cost later. Yeah, and honestly, honestly Foretell's more late game, so I think Boast will definitely.
Yeah, there was a card that I was looking at. Scorn Effigy. It's Foretell 0, and it's a 3 mana cost for 2/3. So you pay 2, you exile face down, and whenever you want, you can flip it up. I feel like, and it's a common.
That's a common, huh?
Yeah, so I feel like that. I feel like that's pretty powerful with the upcoming standard set when this is on pre-release. I feel like that's going to be in a lot of people's builds if they're trying to build around the Foretell mechanic. So.
Yeah, similar to Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Cauldron.
Oh yeah.
Constantly doing like something cheap and easy to do, similar. So
yeah,
I could see that too. That'd be pretty cool.
Also, I think we might have touched on it when we were just speculating, but we have confirmed that we were talking about runes. And there's some runes that they have a static ability. When they enter the battlefield, they draw a card, and there's certain equip abilities too, because they're auras, and they, like, blue has flying, green has trample, red has haste, black has death touch, all the normal things you'd find in those colors, and I think they're printed at an uncommon. So
yeah,
and white has lifelink, so they have basic static abilities that you can expect. So I don't know what the exact CMC of the runes are. I believe it's like 2 or 3.
Yeah, they're blues 2 as well, right? Yeah,
I think so.
So far, there's 5 runes. I mean, we have 10 more spoilers to go, so I don't know if they're going to introduce more runes, but they have a rune for each color. So it's pretty cool. That it's a really good like an aura and stuff to use. For only 2 mana, you get to not only draw a card in each of the colors. Blue, okay, 2 might be a much for blue. Blue has lots of draw, but for every other color, 2 mana to at least draw a card is pretty good.
They kind of remind me of the cartouches that came out in Amonkhet.
Oh, yeah, yep. Yeah, the cartouches, yeah.
If you could really hone on that. But I guess, Corey, you want to talk about maybe a card that you saw that you were really wanting to get out there?
Yeah, so this whole theme of Kaldheim has me excited. Monocolor decks are really cool. For me, building in Commander, I have a couple monocolor decks, but I really like to branch out and explore new ideas. And there's a couple that I'm excited to work with. And one of them, for example, like probably my favorite is got to be the new god, Asika, God of the Tree. So the whole like aspect of the world tree is just this phenomenal essence. It's both spiritual as well as power essence in the plane of Kaldheim, and you can see the effects that the world tree has with Asika, God of the Tree. Asika, God of the Tree is 1 colorless and 2 green. Vigilance, tap to add 1 mana of any color. Other legendary creatures you control have vigilance and tap to add 1 mana of any color. All right, so it's really cool because then you can get a bunch of mana and use your legendary permanents to get mana. But what I'm really excited is because Asika's a creature, you also can. I don't know if they're going to change this for Commander, but you can use, since she's a creature, use in the prismatic bridge aspect to her. So it's each of the colors, and it's a legendary enchantment. And it says at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker card. Put that card onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This sounds like a really cool way to build a deck. It might not be as prevalent as, like, I have a Golos deck. So Golos, you pay 7 and you exile the top 3 and you can cast them. But it's a static thing, so you don't have to pay mana. So you can spend that mana doing other things as well. So I'd use this, and I'd use other cards that give me more upkeep abilities, and I would really hone in on making a deck with the Prismatic Bridge. I think it would be fun.
It does sound very interesting.
Yeah.
You actually hit into the card that I was gonna spoil. Probably, and it's a land too. The actual world tree is the card that I was gonna highlight.
Okay.
So the world tree enters the battlefield tapped, and you could add 1 green to your mana pool as long as I control 6 more lands. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, so it does turn into like a chromatic lantern and stuff. It's kind of like chromatic lantern meets what's the one that makes zombies if you control 7 or more lands?
Yeah, it just came out in, I think, M20 or it's one of those
something like that. That just got banned because it was so powerful. But it's kind of like that, but it doesn't create zombies, obviously. But you could pay 2 of each color, tap, sacrifice the world trees, search your library for any number of god cards, put them onto the battlefield, and shuffle your library. And way back in the day, I used to have a god commander deck that I used to run that I kind of just gave up on because I didn't have the mana base for it, because I was basically running almost all basics, and had very little dual lands. So, but every once in a while, it came through and kicked some butt. But
well, it looks like with this set, you're getting a lot of flavor for that god deck. There's tons of gods. It seems like ever since Commander, they Wizards of the Coast realized that Commander is the biggest format in Magic, that they're really honing on and trying to get a ton of legendary creatures out there for people to build all sorts of unique decks. And the set is no different. There are tons and tons of legendary creatures all the way from uncommons to mythic rares. And so you've got tons of different potentials of building a commander deck, how you want to build it. And don't get me wrong, some of those uncommons are just as spooky as some of the mythic rares, and it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I might have to dig it out and just make it again.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
New idea. But I also do kind of like going back on the gods thing, that they have mythic and rare gods.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know. It's just cool in my opinion for it.
Yeah, and I think the alternate costs and the alternate cards with them, so like being the equipment, is definitely unique. I do wish they had some protection like other gods. That was the cool and unique thing. It's being like, okay, these almighty gods, have this protection against other things, and I do wish they found a way to do that, like maybe from protection from colors or something. We haven't done that, but at the same time, I understand with the lore and stuff how each god is within another person, so it makes a little more sense. But yeah, it's definitely cool. I'm looking forward to the snow tournaments. If I could say a mechanic, like that's what I'm really excited for. I don't know if the snow tournaments will play a lot in standard, but
I feel like they will. I feel like it has a pretty high prevalence in the set. So
yeah,
and there's a lot of abilities that you have to use.
That's true.
Snow lands for, so
yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll make a snow deck.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you guys will have to wait and see. They'll be in an episode probably, if it is.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that basically wraps it up.
Yeah, guys, thank you all for watching. If you haven't seen, our episode 14 just came out about a week ago. Also, go check out last week's podcast, and we give you kind of an update on the channel and our journey so far. And then stay tuned for next week's episode. You never know what we might talk about. So, all right, guys, well, thank you all, and we'll see you next time.